Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, as this program contains good wrestling.
It's my life in the box in front of me. The guitar in my arms is the soul of me. You walk by, ask to see me lay face down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 47th edition of Warring to Attitude. I am your host, Bret Piles, and with me, as always, is my co-host from across the ocean and from the future. He is the ballroom rolling disco dancing dynamite stretching intercontinental playboy. Folks, he's more over than pop stars at the Super Bowl at GA WrestleNet. Glenn Abbott. Glenn, how are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, it was good of them to put on a show where I fell asleep last night.
Good Lord, pal. I wanted to go to sleep. Let me tell you. When it went into overtime, I went, no, I want to go to bed.
That's what I say. I applauded at the end, and it wasn't that I wanted either side to win. It was just that it had come to an end.
They got to the point in the third quarter where I think I was cheering for anyone to do anything that was exciting. I was like, please, I don't care if you're a Chiefs or a Niners, just do something.
Yeah. The complete opposite from your morning and my afternoon before that.
Oh, God, Glenn.
In fact, the time it took the 49ers to get 3 points on the board, Arsenal were 3 goals up in their game.
I think they had 4. I think they had 4 by the time they got 4 points and up in the Super Bowl. Yeah, no, you're right. Wow. So I haven't been like an Arsenal fan for long. It's been like a year and a half, but that was my greatest moment as an Arsenal fan. I was literally running around my living room like the ultimate warrior.
For those that don't know, they won 6-0. So we're quite happy.
That's their second biggest margin of victory in the Premier League ever, right?
Yeah. And it's equal, I think, because the other one was 7-1.
Okay. So yeah, they won by 6 goals in either way you look at it.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, that was the most fun I've ever had as a soccer fan. It was just at one after another. They just kept flying in, Glenn. And I kept asking for more, and they kept delivering more, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
And although that was great, that wasn't my sporting highlight of the weekend.
No.
On Saturday, England played against Wales in the Rugby Union Six Nations.
They did have that on Peacock. I did not turn it on, but they did have that on the Peacock.
They had a lady referee. Now, this girl gets my vote for Sports Personality of the Week.
No kidding.
Because not only has she got this thing of she's having to referee all these big hunky men and doing a good job of it. There was one point where it was a skirmish. They started fighting, and she just stood there, waited for them to finish, and then called the captains over and basically said to them, "I'm not mad at you. I'm just very disappointed." And she talked to them like she was their mother, and they looked so sheepish, the pair of them.
All right, Glenn. So I found a photo. Oh, yeah, here we are. I see it. I'm not mad, just really disappointed. The referee puts players in places after England-Wales incident. Wow.
She said, so I told you before the game, I didn't want any of these shenanigans, and you promised me there wouldn't be.
That is hilarious. I'm just going to, just so we can visually verify. This has to be it. She looks like she is giving these men a talking to. This is the picture right here. This is it.
That's it. Yeah, there she is. She gave her a right selling off.
Not mad, just disappointed.
That's the same thing your mother would say, isn't it?
That is great. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's something you would say to your kid after they got in trouble at school. Not mad, just disappointed.
Just disappointed in you.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, Sports personality of the week. I agree. Did you guys win or lose that game there?
They won it. They won it 16-14.
All right. Well, someday you'll explain the rules of rugby to me, but we're not going to do that today.
No.
Let me. So, do you remember all the goals from the Arsenal game? I just want to ask you which one of the goals was your favorite. I think I know the answer.
Oh yeah. It has to be the storming goal from, as they kept on saying, the ex-West Ham player, ex-West Ham captain. He plays for Arsenal now. Get over it.
Yep. Yeah. So he. Yeah, that's my favorite goal too. He just blew that one right through the back of the net. So yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
One. Well, Glenn, here we go. So I think that's enough of the soccer talk. We talked all the wrestling for the week that we needed to talk on the Mayor of Superstar. So if you want to hear about that, give that a listen. And we talked about it all there. We talked about all the Rock and Cody happenings taking place there. So
Yeah, there's been nothing wrestling wise over the weekend noteworthy. So.
Yeah, so nothing further to discuss there. So we will just get into this episode of it was Raw as War from September 22nd, 1997. It's from a little arena in New York. Maybe you've possibly heard of it. It's Madison Square Garden, Glenn.
Yes, I have heard of this one.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, just a few times.
Known as the world's most famous arena, Glenn. So it is the most famous arena in the world. So.
Yeah. Not going to argue with that.
I don't think I need to tell you about how, big Madison Square Garden has been for the WWF over the years. Host of WrestleMania 1, 10, the first SummerSlam, countless pay-per-views, Raws, and over the years. This was actually the first Raw taking place from Madison Square Garden, though, Glenn.
That was not to mention boxing and everything else that goes on there.
Well, and the New York Knicks, and everything that you could ever think of is taking place at Madison Square Garden. Yes, but this was the very first Monday Night Raw to take place from Madison Square Garden, so that's pretty historical. Also, Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, the Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan, and Kevin Nash all won their first WWF World titles at this established arena. I tried to think of a bigger word, but I couldn't come up with one.
One of those isn't like the rest.
Yeah, that's why I threw it in there. One of those things is not quite like the other. Do you mean Bob Backlund?
Well, no, because
I know, I'm just kidding.
Bob Backlund is that sort of traditional wrestler that you would associate with Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, no, I was kidding. I figured. I knew you did not mean Bob Backlund. So they opened the show with a cool video package of showing, the history of Madison Square Garden. But anyway, so we get into it real quick, Glenn, and they don't waste any time. We get right into the matches. I was surprised that they didn't have anything recapping One Night Only whatsoever.
No, it was straight into the Intercontinental title tournament. It's easy for you to say.
Yes. Yes, between Rocky Maivia, he's taking on former Nation of Domination member Ahmed Johnson. The Nation makes their way down to the wrestling ring. The Nation makes their way down to the ring with the most hated man currently in wrestling 2024, which I watched this last week, and that's what I wrote in my notes. And he's even more hated now, I think. So,
well, he's done a great job.
Well, if anybody can make you hate it, it's The Rock.
Heel Rock is the best Rock, in my opinion.
I would agree. I would have to agree. Yeah. But, of course, the commissioner comes out right behind them, makes all the Nation members leave the ring besides The Rock. We get huge Rocky sucks chants going on. They tell us all about how Ken Shamrock was supposed to be moving on to the second round, but he won't after the spine buster from Farouk takes him out of the tournament. So now Farouk will be moving to the second round. So the winner of this match will take on Farouk. I think you know where this is going.
This is ridiculous. The world's most dangerous man has become the world's most injury-prone man.
Well, but right behind Ahmed Johnson.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. So Ahmed was still getting a pretty big reaction from the crowd here in September of '97, because I thought he got a pretty huge pop when he came through the curtain.
Yeah, he did. people don't know better.
And he was in slightly better shape than what we saw him looking in 2000. So
Yeah, definitely.
where
Yeah.
the Bear referred to him as a beanbag with legs.
With legs.
Yeah.
It's such a good description.
What did you think about this opening match, the Intercontinental Championship tournament?
It was fine. It's what it was. It's nothing we haven't seen before.
And Captain Lou Albano was out there taking
Yeah.
notes around ringside for some reason.
That went nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. Maybe
Well,
he's just drunk. He's just drunk and wandering. They're like, just let him.
yeah, whatever the idea was that the story was going to be for that never fulfilled itself, did it?
No, that never materialized. So eventually The Rock throws Ahmed over the top rope, and I don't know how, Ahmed Johnson manages to cut his fucking hand open on the Spanish announce table.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how he did it. No idea.
No, I don't think anybody did. Jerry Lawler certainly did when he came up with the joke that Albino should be making notes on Ahmed is easily injured.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. Ahmed looked very gassed by about the 4-minute mark. He hits a spine buster. This match was very dull. Eventually, Ahmed looks like he's going to he does win with a Pro River Plunge. I forgot that the Nation didn't hit the ring, which was amazing because that usually what happens during a Nation match. So we're going to get to see Farouk and Ahmed Johnson one more time, Glenn.
Yeah. How much more of 1997 is going to be taken up with this? Thankfully, not a lot.
At least I hope not.
It gets lost in the shuffle from here on in, doesn't it? Really?
I from what I can remember, I believe so. Yeah. They tell us that tonight we're getting Brian Pillman's going to take on Owen Hart in the Intercontinental title tournament, and we're also going to get a Falls Count Any match, Calls Count Anywhere match, Glenn, between Dude Love and Triple H. So that'll be interesting, all right?
Oh, definitely.
And also, Goldust takes on Bret Hart. It's a non-title match, and then finally they refer to it, Glenn. They let us know we will hear from the new European champion, Glenn, Shawn Michaels. So finally, they let the people at home know that Shawn Michaels is the European champion.
And that is the only time that it is referred to in the next few months, either.
I mean, I don't remember them doing it. Yeah.
Again, totally lost in the shuffle of everything.
Yeah. We didn't hear the music of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's up in the crowd. You can't have a Raw in New York without Steve Austin. He then goes on to say that somebody's gonna get their ass whooped tonight, and that's the bottom line. But they also remind us that Owen Hart does have a restraining order against him.
He's a brave man in amongst all those rabid fans or rabid fans. Whichever way around.
Yeah, whatever. They were rabid rabbits, is what they were, and they had rabies.
Anyway,
exactly. Then we got a really weird advert. Do you remember the advert, Glenn?
Oh, the laser tag battle.
Yes.
Sable versus Dr. Evil Fink.
Yeah, they got classic Brady Glassy in this thing. It was Sable versus Howard Finkel. Tim White was the referee.
Yeah.
So Sable does end up beating Howard Finkel. The good news, Glenn, they told us that we will see more of this next week. So.
All right.
What do you like better? You like Sunny Squirts or you like Sable Blasts?
Oh, Sable Blasts.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure. Figured I'd ask.
Always a partial to a bit of Sable Blast.
That's understandable, pal. Understandable. So this is the first time we finally hear about it. One night only. They start showing us photo stills of what happened in the Bulldog Shawn Michaels match. Go back and check out that review on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast right now. If you haven't already, we were joined by Dan Griffin to review that show, and it was a good time. And anyway, they bring out the old Undertaker to a huge reaction from the crowd. They also let us know now that whoever wins the Hell in a Cell match will face Bret Hart for the WWF Championship at Survivor Series. You want to hear a little bit of what the dead man had to say, Glenn?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I always enjoy what the Undertaker's got to say.
Absolutely.
First off, Bret Hart, the day will soon be upon you.
when the Reaper comes calling. But before you have your judgment day, Shawn Michaels has his date with destiny. At Hell in the Cell, there's only one way out, and that's over my dead body. Unfortunately for Shawn Michaels, I can never rest in peace. But I sure can enjoy watching Shawn Michaels' rotting corpse burn in eternal damnation.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Those words may come back to haunt him.
You know, that was some real foreshadowing there, wasn't it, Glenn?
Damnation, yeah, it certainly was.
It really was. So as you heard there, Shawn Michaels then comes out on the ramp and he rambles on and on about the same thing he's been talking about. You know, WWF was out to get him, and he was in an impossible situation at SummerSlam, and now he's in an impossible situation where he's got to face this zombie in a cage with a roof on it, and it's unfair to him, and we might as well just give The Undertaker a title shot at this point. Apparently he's not very capable and not very confident in his skills, Glenn. It didn't sound like to me.
The only note I've got from this is the comment that he made, unless you're a real hot mama, I don't lie down for anyone.
He did say that, yeah. Yeah. He goes on to say he is the only man to win all the titles in the WWF. He says he's going to bring the pain in Hell in a Cell. All Undertaker needs to do is show up. And then that was it. They immediately cut to something else, right to Sunny coming down to the ring. She's going to be the special guest ring announcer for what I'm shocked to find out was not a light heavyweight match, Glenn. I was shocked. I thought it was definitely going to be light heavyweight.
You couldn't get anything less light heavyweight than the Legion of Doom versus Farouk and Kama Mustafa.
Yeah, that's not light heavyweight at all. Not at all. I was thinking, you know, when I saw this going, I was like, oh, at least it'll be hard hitting and it'll be, you know, a fun hard hitting match, which it was for about 90 seconds.
Yeah, a lot of no selling from the Legion of Doom. Now, if Farouk hits somebody, normally you need to sell it. No reason that they should not be. They should be no selling Farouk hitting them.
Or Kama, for that matter. I mean, they're both big, fun, bruising guys. So, LOD goes under their finisher pretty quickly, and then, of course, the Nation of Domination's MO. All the Nation members hit the ring and attack them. They really start beating them down. Ahmed comes down and tries to help. They really start beating Ahmed down. So now I'm thinking that there's no way Ahmed's going to make it to next week because he's probably got 2 broken legs by now.
Yeah, he's about to have injured himself again.
He has to have. I would literally like to go back and count, like get on Cage Match and look at the Nation of Domination and see how many of their matches ended in DQ, countouts, or no contests. Because I bet it's a lot.
It is a lot, isn't it? Oh, yeah, what we see. I might do that for next week. Little project for me to look it all up.
Yeah, do that, and then we'll find, because I bet you it's 95%, and I might be selling it short.
Yeah, that's right.
The next match is Owen Hart versus Brian Pillman. So I thought it was weird. Like Owen Hart came out with like some differently strange music, and they haven't like changed Owen Hart's music in any of the other ones, so I didn't understand why they changed it on this one. He's also got the cops with him. I don't know if you know this, Glenn, but in America, if you get a restraining order, they give you 4 or 5 cops to walk around with you to make sure that nobody.
Oh, all right. Okay.
That's not true. That doesn't happen.
I did think it did.
No. Yeah. And then we got a little bit of shenanigans, didn't we?
Well, what did you expect? They stretched this out for as much as they could, really, I suppose. Pillman coming out with his arm in a sling. It slips and broke his arm while you're doing
unspeakable things.
Yeah, certain things with Marlena in the bathroom.
Yeah, or some such thing. Marlena's dressed very much like last week.
Yeah.
Eventually, they also tell us on their way out to the ring that she's on day 16, Glenn, with Brian. And after this is all over, her and Goldust are gonna renew their vows. And they give a date and everything, but I can assure you that that's not going to happen, unfortunately, because Mr. Pillman's not going to be with us for much longer.
No.
Yeah, so eventually Sarge comes down. He's like, I didn't know you were hurt. Where's your doctor's report? Was the x-ray? Pillman says they're at the hotel. So the Sarge goes, here, catch, throws the mic to Pillman, and Pillman, of course, catches it with his broken arm, revealing that he has no broken arm. And now he has to wrestle. These guys have to wrestle, or they're both never wrestle for the WWF again. So they've got to fight each other now.
Which they don't.
Well, I mean, they do.
They roll about a bit until Marlena gets involved, and then it picks up a little bit.
Yeah, Marlena like hits Owen in the head with her purse and kind of makes it look like Pillman did it. So Owen gets mad at Pillman, and then they do actually start to fight around a little bit. Did you remember the advert for the Stridex trading cards? Do you remember that during this?
Oh, God, yeah.
For all the oily faced teenagers like me in 1997?
Yeah.
Yeah, so after the Marlena thing, I thought this was a pretty good match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Decent, at least.
It was until Goldust.
Goldust, of course, can't take anymore. He comes storming out from the back. He clotheslines Owen first, and because he clotheslined Owen first, that means Owen wins by disqualification. He will be moving on to the tournament, and not Mr. Brian Pillman. After the match, I think Owen talks about how his brother, he dedicates the match to his brother and all of his fans in Canada. And then, of course, he's attacked by Stone Cold Steve Austin, who only gets a few punches in before the police get in there and take him down. And then,
yeah, Vince, though, he leaves the announce table and comes and stops the police from taking us away, which seems a bit strange.
yeah, usually if the cops got their mind set on you taking you away, there's usually not anybody. But I mean, Vince McMahon talked Jimmy Snuka out of murder charges. So,
yeah, I suppose.
Allegedly.
We'll see how well he gets on with the last lot.
Oh, I don't think he's getting out of that one. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Fuck you, Vince McMahon. I shouldn't be sorry. I'm sorry that we have to talk about him at all, but he's on this goddamn show.
Yeah. There's other unsavory people we're going to have to talk about in the next few months, so might as well get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about wrestling, especially early 90s wrestling, it's going to be murky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he kind of, he gets on the mic. He's talking to Austin like, "What's the matter with you?" He tells Austin, you can't do this. We can't let you come out here and hurt yourself. We understand that you're upset, but don't break the law. You can't wrestle until the doctors say you can wrestle. We can't have you getting hurt. You might end up in a wheelchair. Everybody wants to see you back, but they don't want to see you in a wheelchair. Austin gets on the mic and he says, I appreciate that the World Wrestling Federation cares, and I appreciate the fact that, well, hell, you could kiss my ass, and gives him one of the worst stunners you'll ever see. I mean, he went down like there was no, I can't even explain it.
The thing is over the next couple of years, you will not see him improve taking his stunner. I think if you put them all together, every time that Vince McMahon taking a stunner from Steve Austin, it's probably been the worst one ever.
Yeah, it just precedes itself every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the crowd goes crazy. The cops come in, they put the cuffs on Austin, they lead him out. JR and King are losing their minds on here. They say Austin should be fired and he's on his way to jail. And how could you do this? And man, Jerry Lawler was really, really mad about this too, wasn't he? Like overly mad. I felt like, why does Jerry care so much?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. The only thing that Vince McMahon seems to do well is Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
can't actually sell the move, but he can sell unconscious well.
Yeah. So that's Austin's first stunner on McMahon. So a pretty iconic episode of Raw here. And we're going to get to some more iconic stuff here in a second as we get the pyro for the second hour to start. JR and the King, of course, go over what just happened. And like I said, the King is really, really angry. His veins are like popping out of his forehead, and he was pissed.
Yeah.
And so then it's time for the street fight, Glenn.
This is good.
Before this, though, the King does an interview with a woman in the crowd. First, his mic isn't working, and then we get it working. You ever heard of Rhonda Shear, Glenn?
No. I was wondering who she was.
Me neither. So I looked her up, Glenn, and let me bring her Wikipedia page back up here. So she was a TV talk show host. It was called Up All Night on USA Network, which is the same network.
That sounds like a great one. Early hours of the morning crap.
I'm sure it wasn't good at all. Yeah, but it's on the same network that WWE is. Raw is on. It's currently still on until it moves to Netflix next year. And I believe she was in a lot of B-rated movies, Glenn. And I don't mean X-rated movies. I mean B-rated movies.
Just B-rated, just bad movies.
Just bad movies. Yeah, she's the queen of bad movies.
Yeah, poor man, a poor man's opera.
Exactly.
Opera.
She was Miss Louisiana, Glenn, in 1975, though. So
right. Oh, she did something right then.
And she was Miss USA. Oh, she was in the Miss USA competition in 1975. She didn't win it, but she was in it.
Well, she would be because all the misses from the States would have been in the Miss USA.
And she sold shit on the Home Shopping Network. Do they have like the Home Shopping Network over in the UK?
Oh, yes. Yeah, UVC.
Is it just called the Home Shopping Network? Like,
no, we've got loads of them. One of them is QVC.
Yeah, we got QVC here too.
And there's the Home Shopping Network, and then there's another couple as well that all do the same thing. These smarmy blokes and women try to sell his stuff.
Yeah, so every year, if I got a present from my grandma for Christmas, you could bet your fucking ass that it was from QVC.
Yeah.
So she was in the movie Spaceballs. Glenn, you ever seen Spaceballs?
Oh, great movie.
She was the woman in the diner, if that does anything for you.
No, that doesn't mean a thing.
She was in a movie called Prison A Go-Go in 2003.
Oh, that sounds like a cultural movie.
Oh my God, this one, Legend of the Roller Blade 7, Glenn. You want to hear the summary of this movie?
Oh, yeah, this sounds great.
Okay. In a post-apocalyptic world where rollerblading is the chief means of travel, the evil emperor sends his minions outside the wheel zone to abduct a psychopath.
Oh.
The Legend of the Rollerblade 7. All they're doing is rollerblading everywhere. That's awful. That is awful.
Anyway.
I'm glad I looked that up. I wasn't going to, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So eventually, Hunter does make his way down to the ring.
Yeah.
They start playing Dude Loves Music, but he doesn't come out.
This is good.
Oh, man, this is great.
Yeah.
He gets up there and, he says, why? I know what you're thinking. Why am I not out there why am I back here when I should be out there kicking some heavy duty booty, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
And then he brings in Mankind because he says, falls count anywhere matches aren't really my bag, but I know somebody whose it is. And he brings in Mankind. And Mankind's even kind of like, yeah, I want to do bad things to Triple H. I've thought about doing many bad things to him. And Dude Love's like, I know you have. And then he's like, but I know somebody who's thought about it even more than I have. And Dude Love says, are you thinking what I think you're thinking? And Mankind says, I think you do think what I think, what I am, what I think I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And it's Cactus Jack. He comes back and he says, the crowd pops huge, and he says, this may be the darkest day of your life because Mrs. Foley's baby boy is home. Bang, bang. But that was fucking amazing.
Yep. Brings the obligatory garbage can with him.
And I thought the way Triple H sold it in the ring
was
amazing.
It was. Yeah.
Because if he would have just been like, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's the same person, I don't think it would have worked as well. But he was really like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I thought I was going to fight a guy in tie-dye. Now I got to fight a guy who had a barbed wire match in Japan. Don't make me do this.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if I was to sit down and make a top 10 list of my favorite top 10 Raw moments, this is making it, and
Yeah.
the Austin Stunners making it. So that's two things in one night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep, we're really up and running with the Attitude Era now.
And that was before this fantastic match even started, Glenn, which was an amazing fight that went all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got fire extinguishers. We got China clotheslines Jack into the front row, which is amazing.
Yeah, that was brutal.
That's brutal.
They did a lot of stuff, and that might have been the stiffest thing in the entire match was that clothesline over the guardrail into the front row. Yeah. Big ECW chants, of course, during this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would probably have to go back and think about it, but this is probably the best match that we've watched.
Oh, yeah.
97 on Raw. There might have been better pay-per-view matches, but this has been the best one on Raw.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they went everywhere. They went up the ramp, down the ramp, in the ring, around the ring, through the crowd, back through the crowd, into the backstage area, up the ramp again. I mean, it was something. You got any other notes from this match?
Yeah, just how good it was. You know, Hunter goes for the pedigree, and Jack counters with a low blow, and then puts cheers to the rafters of MSG. That puts him through a table.
Pal drives him through the table, through the stage. A nice little added touch I liked is that Chyna got there just as the referee hit 3. So she just barely missed the save, even after all that Chyna had been through. She's durable enough to get back up there and just about make the save. I thought that was a good touch.
That's right. Yeah, she sort of covered him up, didn't she, at the end?
Yeah.
She was covering Jack more than
that was all she had left. She barely threw herself on him. That was all she had left. But I mean, great match, awesome moment. It was great. I mean, if you've never seen this, go back and watch it because it was a lot of fun. Now, Glenn, can you say Survivor Series Super Supper Sweepstakes?
Survivor Series Super Supper Sweepstakes.
Can you say it 3 times fast?
Survivor Series. I've forgotten what it was. No.
I several times had to rewind it so that I could get it right because I kept writing it wrong. I kept putting Supper Super Survivor Series Sweepstakes, Super Sweepstakes Survivor Series Super Supper. I don't know. It's a lot of fucking S's. But I guess when it's a sweepstakes, another one of these, like I guess the Royal Rumble one and the other one. So we're gonna find out more about it, Glenn. So hold your breath, Glenn. I know you're excited for these.
Why is it a supper sweepstake? Are they just going to win food?
Well, it's Survivor Series, and so it's like around Thanksgiving. So
so they're going to win a turkey or something.
Yeah, you're going to win it. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Probably. Yeah, probably a turkey. Probably a Thanksgiving turkey with all the fixins.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we'll find out more on the way to Survivor Series, Glenn. I know you're more looking toward that Hell in a Cell match, but I'm really looking forward to the build of this Survivor Series Super Supper Sweepstakes.
Yeah, so am I.
I said it right the first time. How do you like that? And I deleted my notes, Glenn, so I didn't even read it from my copy. I just remembered. Now, again, they show us what happened between Bulldog and Shawn Michaels. I know you don't want to keep reliving it, Glenn, and I apologize for that. He got a lot of help from Rick Rude and Chyna and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Shawn Michaels then makes his way down to the ring. JR says, "We're not expecting this, and we're worried because he's got a life, Mike." He says he's going to tell the story of how he became the European champion, but then he never does. He wants the Undertaker to come down here so he can slap him around.
I like they were cheap. They were chanting as they were. I think last week that Sean is gay.
Yeah,
and he says, "Ask their mamas how gay I am."
Yeah, ask your mama how gay she is. Yeah. Yeah, he calls the Undertaker out. They go to a commercial. He's still running about the Undertaker. Finally, Undertaker does come out when he says he's afraid of him.
Why does he come out? You know what's going to happen. That's what I loved about that thing with Austin that time, where he just stood on the ramp and said, "I know what's going to happen. You think I'm coming down there? You're having a laugh."
Yeah. Yeah, but the Undertaker's too much of a man. He's not going to wait. He marches right down there. Of course, they attack him from behind. They like hit with the chair, but it doesn't really work out much for them because Taker pretty much like gets up, fights them off, takes the chair, and sends them off running, even though they had 4-on-1 against him.
I wonder what would happen. Whether they'd actually come up with a name for this little group.
You think, Glenn?
Suppose it's a possibility.
Maybe. Stay tuned, folks. We'll find out. We then get to it is the main event of the evening. I feel like we went through the show quick. I don't know why, but probably because there's only one good match.
Yeah.
So Bret Hart versus Goldust. Bret Hart gets out here, and let's see what Bret has to talk about before the match.
Yeah, why not?
I know you love a good Bret Hart promo.
Yeah.
Got the gold around his waist to prove it.
Let me say one thing. I don't really give a crap about who wins the steel cage match between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. The fact is, I face whoever wins in the Survivor Series. Undertaker, I never was, and I'm still not afraid of you. And as far as Shawn Michaels goes, after what you did to the British Bulldog, sooner or later, our paths are gonna cross anyway. So your days are numbered, and Undertaker, your days are numbered, because without a doubt, I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And New York City, you know it.
You know it. That was one of his better ones, I feel
Yeah,
like.
it's still a shame though. He says, I only want to say one thing, and then goes on and says a dozen.
I think that's kind of been his MO of his whole career. I want to say one thing and then like says everything he's ever thought in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all known someone in our lives at some point who's been like that. I know I have.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, I get it. Bret Hart's just that guy. He's that guy who like yells at his kids and leaves. He's like, "That's it," and he leaves the room, and then he comes back 30 seconds later and starts yelling some more.
Yeah.
that is who he is.
Oh, let it go.
Yeah. So then poor old Goldust comes down here. He's only got one side of his face painted, Glenn, because part of him is missing.
Yeah.
I thought this was a solid main event. What do you think?
Yeah, it was. And I suppose it involves the champion. So it had to be the main event, although the Triple H and the Cactus Jack match was a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely we don't have to debate that. That was definitely the match of the night for this night. But if that match hadn't happened, I would say this was probably the match of the night. I mean, you've got two second generation wrestlers out there. How could it not be good? You know what I mean?
That's right, yeah. It was what it was. They did their stuff. Bret got Goldust around the ring post to weaken up the knees, ready for the sharpshooter.
That was my favorite part because the ref is telling Bret, break it up. And he's like, why?
Yeah.
Which is fair. No one ever asks that in wrestling. When nobody tells you to break, nobody ever says why.
Yeah.
So that was good. Shawn Michaels eventually makes his way out down to the ramp. Bret's really working on Goldust, as you said. I thought that Shawn Michaels kind of took away from anything that was going on in the ring. Because they put it up on the fucking video board too, and then nobody in the arena is paying any attention to what's going on in the ring. They're all just focused on what Shawn Michaels is doing on the ramp. So I thought that kind of took away from the match.
Yeah, and calling him some unchoice words.
Some homophobic slurs that you would not use, that you should not use ever. Unfortunately, 1997 was a different time.
It was.
You can chant "fuck you, Mello" if you want to, but that's about as far as it goes.
Well, yeah, they even got that shut down.
Well, you should just do it for a little while, not too long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that kind of killed the flow of it. Goldust looked like he was going to win the match toward the end of it. He hit a bulldog, almost got a 3 count. I like the way the match ended though. Bret got like his foot up in the corner, and then he tried to jump off the middle rope. When he did that, Goldust tried to put his foot up, and Bret just kind of backed up a little bit, grabbed his foot, locked him in the sharpshooter for the submission. And I thought that was a really cool way to do it. I mean, that was like the second show in a row where we saw him put somebody in the sharpshooter in a really cool fucking fashion. So
yeah,
that was awesome. After, as soon as Goldust gives up, Triple H and Michaels hit the ring, they start beating up on Bret. Finally, Owen, even a limping Bulldog, comes down, ravishing Rick Rude. Then the Undertaker comes down.
a Jim Neidhart who could hardly move because he looked like he'd had about 3 dinners.
We hadn't seen Neidhart in like 2 months.
No.
He was in catering, and they said, "Hey, man, get out there." He
Yeah,
was,
Yeah.
just yeah. He had a mouthful of biscuits. I swear to God, he did. I'm not even making it up.
He was huge.
He had crumbs falling down
He
upon
looked
him.
like he'd been in the gym for years.
I still wouldn't fight him. Yeah, and the show basically goes off the air. Undertaker kind of clears the ring, and then he just gives a huge double choke slam to Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart as the show goes off the air. One of the more iconic Monday Night Raws of the 1997 variety. And I don't think there's any way we can disagree on this, Glenn.
It's 2. It's 2. The other one in there is 2.
There's no way it couldn't be.
No, but even if you take out everything else and just include, it's the start of Austin versus McMahon. We're getting the first seeds of Mr. McMahon, owner of the WWF.
Yeah.
And the debut of Cactus Jack. Yeah.
Yes.
Which actually leads to one of the best Royal Rumble moments ever. We get all 3 faces of Foley coming to the ring at one point or another.
Yeah, you get them all 3 in the same Rumble. Yeah, it's going to lead to some pretty iconic moments for old Mick Foley. So yeah, that's that moment for him, because growing up in Long Island and all those, he made his way to Madison Square Garden to watch Snuka jump off the cage around to Don Morocco, and then he gets to have his own big moment there. That's just a really cool story.
It is.
Definitely. So we usually talk about the ratings war before, we're talking about these. The ratings war, Monday Night Nitro destroyed Raw this week by more than a full point. Right? Nitro got a 3.70, while Raw only do a 2.32. We'll have to see next week if this interesting Raw brings the ratings up anymore. I won't spoil it for you.
Yeah, the thing is that this is off the back of a pay-per-view that didn't actually... Any casual fans wouldn't have gone, "Oh, I really need to watch that Raw."
Right, because you wouldn't have been able to see it anyway. So
no,
yeah, unless you lived in Canada or the UK.
Oh yeah, because it was all on. You only ever got to see it on video, or didn't you? Eventually.
Yeah, so the only way you could get it in America until the WWE Network came out, whenever it came out around WrestleMania 30, was if you ordered the cassette tape, and they cut out. Glenn, the Undertaker Bret Hart match.
No.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cut out everything else.
The one thing that made that pay-per-view worth watching.
They cut it out. Not Flash Dog versus the Patriot or fucking Tiger Ali Singh trying to keep all the kids off of drugs in Canada.
At least, instead of having Bret Hart against Goldust on this Raw, showed that, because that may have got people to actually go and buy the cassette.
Yeah, it would have been a very good selling point for it. Absolutely, it would have.
You give that match, if you don't show it, if you've not got that match on the cassette, but you say, well, it's not going to be on the cassette, but here we're going to show you highlights of that match on this Raw.
Right.
You go and buy the cassette and see the rest of the show.
Right. That would have been a great idea.
They would have sold a lot more.
I think you're right. And like, they didn't have to show the whole, 28-minute match. They could have showed, 12-minute clips of it, and it would have just been just as good. And that was crazy to me when I found that out. But they cut the Bret Hart Undertaker match, and I'm like, what in all the shit that's on that show? Why couldn't it have been the Headbangers versus the Los Boricuas?
Yeah.
Why couldn't that have been gone?
Yeah, so everybody in the States, until the network started up and they actually got to watch it, just thought that was a crap house show. Yeah,
they would have thought that it was just a terrible house. They would have been like, man, I wasted money on this fucking $20 in this cassette tape with $8 shipping and handling. That was a waste of time.
Yeah, it was.
Glenn, do you want to hear what we missed since we watched Raw instead of Nitro?
Oh, yes.
So the opening match was Rey Mysterio Jr. defeating Silver King. Do you remember Silver King?
No, I don't.
No, I vaguely remember Silver King. He was a luchador with no mask. He was a little heavier set. Also, this was an iconic episode of Nitro because we got the debut of one Bill Goldberg when he defeated Hugh Morris, and it wasn't very funny. Also, this one shocks me. Hector Garza was on this show, and he defeated. You want to guess?
No, go on.
Scott Hall.
Oh,
So somebody had to have gotten involved. I don't know whom, but we have.
That's going to be setting up the outsiders against somebody or the other, isn't it?
Oh, I assume, yeah, it's got to be. Also, we had the Faces of Fear battle the Steiner brothers, so somebody hurt after that match. That was
somebody got killed that match.
A match that you would have thought never happened. Randy Savage defeated Steven Richards.
Oh, right.
And finally, the main event was Kurt Hennig defeated Jeff Jarrett, who was not spending his days working hard on the go that day because he did not win the United States Championship from Kurt Hennig, Glenn. And those are the matches that we missed because we watched Raw instead of Nitro. I still feel good about my decision.
Yes.
It's not because we started the show, 9 months ago and I got to finish it to completion. It's because I feel good about my actual decision.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
That is right. That is it. Anything else you want to add from this show? Any other final thoughts?
As to WWF marks, I think we've made the right decision going down this route.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think though that maybe we should watch WCW because probably it'd be more stuff that we actually hadn't seen before than more stuff that we had probably seen once but had forgotten. At least from my perspective.
Where we'll see how we go down the road.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's
now that unfortunately Nitrogen have gone their separate ways. There is a market for a WCW show somewhere in there.
Well, and also, you don't want to step on your friend's toes, but if they're folded up the shop, maybe who knows? We'll talk about it, Glenn. We've got a lot of we got a lot of things that are planned, but we also don't have a lot of hours in the day. So
no, we've got a lot of things on the go at the moment as well. So
that's right. We got to get through Sid first, and we're only in 1993.
Yep.
So, Glenn, that's it for this episode. Who do we got to plug before we get out of here?
The good old guys, Unbooking the Territory. I did a special featuring Dan, and if anybody listens to Rantermeisters, the host of that, Ben, where we drafted WCW from 1991. And I won that. By picking some real monsters.
Spoiler alert, everyone.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you who, just that I'll beat picking some real monsters. Of course, their side project, Unstacking the Dadatory, looking at the build up to 1981 at Wembley, Big Daddy against Giant Haystacks. And I did all that in one breath.
You did it, and you got it all right. Way to go.
And of course,
the Doctor Who podcast with Danny Ansai. It's SJP World Media. That's the same place where you could find that show. Glenn was just talking about that. Just SJP World Media. They got a lot of good stuff on there. Check it out.
And also DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc. I think they'll be back this week. There's been some personal issues in the Manson household, but things are calming down again now. So they'll be back to chatting very soon.
We certainly hope that Mrs. Manson and Mr. Manson are doing okay out there at all.
That's the Doc Manson and Mrs. Manson. My thoughts and prayers go to you. And that's it. That's all I've got.
There you go. Of course, make sure you check out Sportswire Radio. Give our buddy Thomas Bryce a follow on all social media. Just search Thomas Bryce. That's BRICE, and you're gonna find him. And check them there. They got a YouTube page, Sportswire Radio / just search Sportswire Radio with a Z on YouTube, or you can just go to their website, which is sportswireradio.org. I'm sure all the links for that are up there. You can hear us and many other great shows. If you're looking for Super Bowl coverage, if you didn't fall asleep during the Super Bowl. Anyway, check all that Sportswire Radio stuff out. And give the other member of our podcast team, the Mayor of Canton, a follow on the Twitter X. He does a meal with the Mayor every Wednesday, where not only does he try great food, but he'll usually give you some insight into something new that you can try at a local fast food restaurant. So that's why I always like to watch it, because it shows you some new stuff that maybe you didn't know about and you want to get out and try. So make sure you check that out. It's every Wednesday.
And he doesn't hide his disgust when he doesn't like something either.
Yeah, no, he doesn't sugarcoat it, does he?
No.
He definitely does not. And make sure you check out all the other projects we got going on. We got a new episode of the Mayor of Superstars out right now where we saw Mr. Unperfect, and you're going to have to listen along to find out what that means. He was
Definitely.
he was Mr. Perfect in an alternate dimension where Mr. Perfect was no longer perfect.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't know shit, the Life and Times of Psycho said. Episode 21 is out right now. The Mayor joined us. We saw the debut of the Shockmaster, and then we watched War Games 1993, which ended in the most high-flying fashion of all War Games. So make sure you check that out.
It ended high flying, but it is also the most disappointing War Games because they advertised the Shockmaster, but we didn't quite get the Shockmaster. You'll have to watch it to see.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch along and see exactly who it was because he wasn't wearing a Stormtrooper's helmet. At least not when. Listen closer when the Shockmaster falls down. You can very plainly hear Davey go, "He fell on his fucking ass."
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
And with that,
That is it. I think that's a good way to end the show. I don't have anything else to say. All we have to do is have Glenn say goodbye.
goodbye.